Hi there, this is Jen, and thanks so much for stopping by today. Today I have a really quick video on a project that I actually created earlier this week for a design team project for Fairy Hug Stamper, and I had a request for a tutorial, so I'm going to go ahead and make this video. And I'm changing it up a little bit though. I went ahead and I used different colors for all of the cards. So this is the original card that I created, and it is using the Wreath Builder set from Fairy Hug Stamper. And the colors that I used on this card are Salvaged Patina and Picked Raspberry. And for all of the inks, I am using the distress inks, which normally they don't stamp up very well, which is why I'm using Bristol Smooth cardstock, because it is a really smooth cardstock and it takes the ink really well. And this isn't meant to be something perfect or exact. It's just a really fun, easy technique to make bulk cards, and this was very quick to actually do this. I went ahead and I followed the same layout that I had for my original card, but I'm going to take the first ink, which is cracked pistachio, and I'm just inking up pretty much around the berry. There's some berries in the middle, and so I'm trying to ink up around the edges, but as I said, this is not perfect, and so it's fine if the ink gets where it's not supposed to be. And so after I do the cracked pistachio, I'm going to take the barn door, and that's going to be the berries. And so I'm going to go ahead and ink that up, and as you can see, the red is kind of out into the leaf part of the stamp. So I'm just going to take a baby wipe and just wipe it up a little bit. You can wipe it, you can not wipe it. It just depends on how much ink you put on the stamp and how you want your image to look. But I went ahead and I wiped around so that you could still see some of that green on the leaves, as well as the red color that is on the berries. And I'm going to repeat that process for the rest of the images on this card, and I actually stamp up 7 times on this card, and then this process is repeated exactly the same on every single card. I don't show that for every single card, but at the end of the video I will show you the different color combinations that I used for every card that I create. And then I use several other stamps in the stamp set. One of them is the berries, and then one is this kind of like twig stamp. And then there's a single holly leaf, which I use as well on the sentiment portion of the card. And so I'm going to take that twig first, and I'm going to use, I do use the Distress Oxide. I use the Weathered Wood Distress Oxide, and I'm going to stamp it or ink it up and then stamp off. I don't want the twig to be really dark, and so I'm stamping off before I stamp onto my actual card panel. And I'm just going to go around and fill in some of those areas. Towards the bottom of the card, there's a pretty big white area, but the sentiment circle is going to go right there, and so I'm not too worried about filling that in. And next I'm going to take the berry stamp, and I'm using the same color as I used for the center of the original image. And I'm actually stamping this off twice onto my scratch paper before I stamp onto my cardstock, just because this is a brighter color. It's totally up to you how you want to do this, or what colors you want to use, or how dark you want these. I wanted the berries to be really light and not super noticeable, and so I did go ahead and stamp off. And then for the sentiment, I stamped that up in some VersaFine black, and then used a circle die to cut that sentiment out. And then I'm taking that holly, that single holly, and I'm using the same color that I used on the original stamp for the ink, and it's cracked pistachio. And then I'm going to take a few foam squares and add that to the back of that sentiment to pop it up. And then I'm going to use the Starry Nights. I don't know what this color is. It's kind of a white silver. It's more of a silver look. But I'm going to add a lot of splatter to the card, and that is it. It's a pretty quick and super easy process. The colors that I used for the remaining cards for this first card, the colors that I used on the leaves, I used the Evergreen Bough, or Bough, I don't know, one of those. And I used Dusty Concord for the grapes. For this next card, I used the colors Pumic Stone for the holly leaves and Faded Jeans for the berries. The next card, I use the color Mowed Lawn for the holly, and seedless preserves for the berries. I really love this. One of my favorite ones. One of my favorite color combinations is, I just think that's really, really pretty. And then the pink one I used picked raspberry for the leaves, and then a festive berries for the berries. This one I splattered with gold instead of that white silver color. And then this last one I used the colors Hickory Smoke for the leaves, and then Prize Ribbon for the berries. And then the next two cards are going to be the original card and then the card that I actually started the video with. And so this is the one that I did the video with, and this is the cracked pistachio on the leaves and the barn door for the berries. And then again, the original card, I used Salvaged Patina and for the leaves, and then picked raspberry for the berries. And that is it. I think this is a really quick and easy way to make some really pretty Christmas cards without lots of coloring or detail. It's just picking out different colors for your images, and that's pretty much it. So I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. If you did like it or find it informative, please go ahead and give me a thumbs up. As always, I thank you so much for taking some time out of your day to spend with me, and I hope to see you next time.